So the first game we have on this episode is Merlin.
Designed by Stefan Feld and Michael Rieneck. Artist is Dennis Lohausen and published by Queen Games.
All right, Eric.
Yes.
Are you prepared for this, or you want me to do it?
No, I got this, I think.
All right. Give us the short and sweet.
All right, I try to be kind of short. There is quite a bit to the game, but it is for 2 to 4 players, about 75 minutes according to the box. So King Arthur is looking for a worthy successor. Each person assumes a role of a knight around the round table to win the king's favor. So the general concept of it is you start out with your player dice and 1 Merlin dice. You're going to be rolling these dice and moving your knight pawn around the table to do certain actions to gather up these shields, flags, materials, and influence.
On a rondel.
On a rondel, right. So each person is going to get a game board, which actually holds all your things that you're going to acquire throughout the game. You're going to get your knight that has a specific spot that he starts in. You're also going to get henchmen that you're going to be placing out on these castles to gain items. You start off with 3 traders on your walls, influence counters to put down on these different castles to get victory points, Merlin staffs to give you a second action whenever you do the Merlin or move the Merlin. And then you start off manners that you're going to put out on a secondary board that gives you VP as well. 1 apple that lets you change your dice, and then you have your dice, 3 of your own color dice, 1 Merlin dice, and then you start off with 4 mission cards. So on your turn, or at the beginning of the game, everybody is going to roll all their dice. On your turn, you're going to choose one of those dice and move your pawn clockwise around this rondel to do a specific action, or you're going to use your white Merlin dice, and you can move them left or right to do that action. When you do, and also on your turn, every turn you can do 1 of your mission cards. Those mission cards give you 1 to 3 VP, and it's having certain things, certain flags, or certain materials, or having certain henchmen out to get those VPs. So the spaces on the board, there's different castles that are out that you're going to put your henchmen out. So 1 henchman might give you it will give you a material from that location, or they're going to give you a shield from that location, or a flag, or you can put influence there. So the shields are going to get rid of the traders that are on your wall. The flags, they're going to give you special abilities throughout the game. And then the construction materials, you're going to use those not only to complete your missions, but also to put out these manners on the secondary board that we'll come across in a second. There is also victory spaces where you're going to get VPs for having a certain amount of flags or materials. Say, for every flag that you have, you're going to get 1 VP. There's also influence spaces where that it allows you to get a flag or a material if you have influence in that specific area. There's a place that you can get Excalibur that allows you to kill one of the traders. There's a grail that you could grab. It's going to give you an apple.
A grail.
Grail, like the Holy Grail.
The Holy Grail.
The Holy Grail.
Yeah. So
the Grail.
It sounded like you said grill. It's going to let you cook up some nice forever meat.
So there's a spot that allows you to rotate your henchmen to do an action. A spot that lets you exchange your one of your items. A mission spot that allows you to trade out some of your missions, get new ones. And also a spot that lets you build a manor. It's on that secondary board, and we'll get to that when we get to scoring. But these flags, they let you do specific things. 1 lets you get rid of a whole stack of traders. 1 lets you complete 2 missions on 1 turn. If you do so, you get 2 additional VP. 1 lets you go counterclockwise when you move instead of clockwise. And 1 lets you after you move, you can take the action of a different knight. And then the last one lets you, after you move, you can move to the opposite side of the board and complete that action. So these are kind of important because it kind of broadens what you can do on your turn. So instead of using, if you rolled a 2, 3, and a 6, you're kind of limited on what you can do. So you're always going to move 2, 3, and 6, so 11 spaces. That's where you're going to end, but getting there is how you can kind of differentiate what you're doing on your turn. So you can use your 2 first, or your 3 first, or your 6 first. That's going to change those spots that you do your actions. But then you also get into a point where you can use a flag and go counterclockwise. You can use an apple to change one of your dice. So it's not really unlimited on where you can go, but it does mitigate your dice. So it allows you to kind of plan and move in certain areas that are going to help you the most. So it goes for 6 rounds. Each round you're using all your dice. There's scoring on rounds 2, 4, and 6. So scoring happens, and you're going to score for your traders. Every trader that you have left over, and how you get rid of them is you use your shields. So different factions have different traders. So there's a purple trader, so you need a purple shield to get rid of them. So every trader that you haven't been able to get rid of is going to cost you 3 VP. However, if you have none and you have the Excalibur, he's going to give you the Excalibur is going to give you 3 VP. And then you score on your manners. Manners, like I said, is going to be on a separate board. They have it's randomly set up, and there's tiles for like forest and mountain and water tiles, and you score it by how many tiles are in each section. So if there's 5 forests, that section is going to be worth 5 VP. If you have a manor there by yourself, you're going to get 5 VP. If someone shares it with you, you're going to divide that and round down, so you each get 2 VP. After you do the manners, you're going to get influence, score for influence. So each castle area that you put influence at, how you score that is for every influence token that's in that castle, that's how many VP you're going to get. So if there's 5 influence markers there, it's worth 5 VP. If you have the most markers there, you're going to gain all those VP. Same as manners, if there's a tie, you're going to split it and round down. And the last thing you get VP for is a henchman that you have out on the board. For each henchman you have out, you're going to get 1 VP. We also played with a module called the King's Favor. So when you complete your mission cards, you get to decide if you're going to take those VPs.
I forgot this was a module.
Yes. So you're going to take those VPs, or you're going to decide to forego those VPs to get a bonus throughout the game. And some of those bonuses are going to let you get additional VP every time you complete those specific missions. Each mission card has a certain henchman in the corner. So that's kind of differentiates them. So others are going to maybe let you build an extra manor every time you build a manor, once per turn. And then one's going to let you repel a trader and such things like that. So that is the game. Like I said, you score these on rounds 2, 4, and 6. End of the game, whoever has the most VP wins.
There's the short and sweet of it.
Yes.
I was thinking by the time Eric's done, you're going to walk out, buy the game, start playing it.
You already know how to play.
Yep. This is interesting because that it's in this episode, because we're going to talk about our top 5 favorite board game designers. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Somebody might be. Anyway, but, I came into this, wanting to play it. And
Sure.
I was looking forward to it because it's a Stefan Feld game. And we started playing it. I'm like, this is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And then halfway through, I'm like, I'm done. I'm like, it's not that it's a boring game or anything, but I do think that it's very repetitive. It just ends up slightly monotonous, but not like, I didn't hate it. It's just that I almost could play it 4 rounds and been okay.
Yeah.
I don't know how you all feel about that, but
Well, I think for us, the first game as well, so it runs a little bit longer.
that's fair.
For us, I think it took 3 hours or maybe a little bit more for 4 players.
It still didn't feel like everybody was taking a long time to make moves, though.
Which is probably a good thing. I mean,
Yeah.
if it was that long and we didn't feel like there's a lot of downtime, that's not bad.
Right. So it didn't feel like a long game, but it did take a longer time to play it.
Are you including teaching time in that too?
No, I think that was almost playtime, or maybe it wasn't like quite 3 hours, but it was a longer.
It was lengthy, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess the biggest thing for me though, I feel like maybe rondels aren't my thing because I kind of get the same feeling every time we play a rondel game.
All right.
And we've only played like 3 or 4, but I'm like, I don't like like, for instance,
but one's in your top 10.
It is. Wait, which one?
Amerigo?
Oh, that's not a rondel.
You don't consider that one?
I don't. It's not. No.
The action area?
That's more of like it looks like a rondel, but I don't remember it playing. I thought when the cubes came out, you choose a cube and you get to do the action that many times, and it's just.
Oh, that's right. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But I mean, one would be in my top 10 if I played it more, which is Trajan. But the difference between Trajan is the fact that its rondel is like 6 spots. So like if you skip something, it's kind of like you'll get there next time. Maybe the time
instead of like 20 spots.
Right. This is like 55 spots or whatever in a big circle that's the size of like the table. And what I was going to get to is the one thing that kind of irritated me is why can't I just pick on that round which way I get to go? Why do I always have to go clockwise? Why can't next round I choose to go counterclockwise, but like whatever direction you start going, you have to keep going that round? Like I didn't feel like I needed to like, I understand that you need to not allow a player to jump back and forth between 2 spaces by going left, right, because there are a couple spaces that once you get past them, then it's like, you want to get back to them because maybe you're scoring a lot of VPs off of landing the one that gives you VPs for shields.
Right.
Maybe you got a ton of shields. If you get to hit that 3 times in a row, that's a crazy amount of points. But my point is, if you want to get from one side of the board to the other side of the board, what's it matter if you go left or right? If you continue in that direction for that whole turn, I feel like that would have probably alleviated a lot that I didn't like about the rondel.
You could get one flag that allows you to do that for 1 dice.
That's amazing. I actually never thought that was that useful.
Oh yeah, I thought it was useful because you can like you said you can backtrack if you roll 2 3s. You can go 3 to the left, then go 3 back to the right.
Yeah, and I guess like I'm not a play tester for the game, right? That's not what a reviewer does. We play the game and say if it's fun or not. We don't play a game and say this one specific thing is broken. It should have been designed like this. I mean, I guess some people do, but I feel that it just wasn't interesting to me. I never felt like I passed something. I'm like, oh man, I missed it. I'm going to get it on the way back. Yeah. Because it's like, by the time I get it on the way back, we're like 2/3 through the game. Right. Because it takes like you 2 whole rounds with high rolls to get that far.
Yes. Unless you're able to mitigate that by using a flag or, dice.
I suppose.
Or not dice.
What did you think about the rondel aspect, Matt?
I felt everything was like, kind of like you, like Eric is explaining the rules and I'm getting pumped about this. And it's like, man, this is going to be awesome. And then like we started playing it and like the first round was good, but then the second round happened and it was just like, this isn't quite as good. It's like everything is cool, but then whatever would be cool about it has something just as equally uncool that goes with it. So like rolling the dice, it's cool that maybe it does limit your options, but it limits your options just for the simple fact that you do have to go the same direction. Because I think if you could go back and forth, but like you said though, if you forced you to go the same way,
right? Yeah, because if you rolled like a bunch of numbers where you can just hop back and forth on the same 2 spots, that I can see potentially being exploitable.
Right. And then Merlin's cool, but you're completely at the mercy of what you roll and what everybody else does with it. Right. Maybe it's up to you to keep an eye, but you're still just hoping like, well, if somebody uses that odd number to get it here and then I can use an even number, it's a lot of chance. The objectives are cool, but trying to complete them is a headache.
Oh, actually, going back real quick on those mission objectives.
Is this an by the way?
No, it's not by the way. We played it correctly, but just let people know that to do those objectives, you just have to have those. You don't spend it.
Which I did like. I think the big problem with the game is the fact that there's 6 of these. I'm going to call it, what are they, cities?
I forgot the word. Yeah.
Propensities,
properties. Like it has, each one has a castle and like the spots for your guys or whatever. There's 6 different colors.
Basically factions.
Yeah.
Is what I would
drop that down to 4 and make the circle of abilities drop
smaller.
Right. Because I felt like there was too much spreading out among doing stuff. I don't know.
Well, I mean, here's the okay. So I had a objective card that wanted 3 guys in one spot.
I did that.
You did.
I had like all 4 guys.
Yeah, you
in
did
one
have
spot.
all 4 guys in one spot, but
I mean, it is hard to do.
it's like really hard to do. Because you can only go one direction. Yeah, okay, great. If you
we could do Merlin and do it twice or something.
yeah,
It's doable, but yeah, it is hard.
what if Merlin's on the other side though?
Right.
It's just stuff like that. It's like I could do this, but everything else is
Preventing
hindering
that.
me from doing it. And I completely forgot about the little map thing until you were explaining the rules again.
No.
The little map section. I do like that fact that it's got that little
The
kind of
manners.
side, yeah, the little side thing going on. You guys took advantage of jumping on. Pro tip: get on that thing quick.
Yeah, it is nice.
Get on that thing early.
You can get so many points from it. As a matter of fact, I think there is a Queenie
It's the horse.
that they were showing us that you can expand that map with a lot of cooler stuff.
Right.
So I think that Queenie would probably help out a little bit. But I don't know. I just think that rondelles are neat. It's kind of like a drafting game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where you get a hand of cards, but if you're playing with so many players that you never see that hand again, then it's just random what you get. There's really no way to be like, oh man, like in Medieval Academy, you get a hand of cards and it's like, if you're playing with the right player count, I'm going to get it back.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, now I've got a lot of information based on what the other players may have taken out of it. Or it's like, wow, nobody took the 5 blue. Why?
Right.
And so it kind of tells you something. And it's kind of like in this, where if you have a rondelle that's smaller, like in Trajan, you're like I said, it's like, oh man, I passed it up. I'll just get it on the next pass. Whereas this one is,
You ain't getting it
you're
back.
not getting back. First off, I don't even remember if I made it around the entire board but one time.
I'm sure you did. Yeah.
I'm sure you got it around more than once, but
Mhm.
or at least once. Sorry,
I
maybe
know,
not more than
I know I
once.
did at least once, but I'm saying like I don't think I made it around a second time. So that's kind of problematic to me because you are at the mercy of what you roll, and what you roll, unless you're rolling a lot of high numbers, you can't travel very far. And I don't know. I guess the big thing is I didn't like I like games that are kind of limiting on what you can do because it does help with thinking about what you should do.
Or what you can do with what you have.
Right. Like I don't mind.
Not all
sitting there-
possible things.
Yes. If I
could
have to
happen,
sit
right?
there and I have like 600,000 things that I can possibly do, I'm like,
There's too much.
yeah. But if I sit down and it's limiting to the point where it's like, all right, I've got like these handful of options. As long as they're all good options, it's cool.
Mhm.
And this, I felt like I can't even think ahead about what I want to do because I may not even roll that number. And yeah, I guess you can go out of way to get your modifiers and things to do things that allow you to mitigate the rules. But then Eric over here will roll the exact 3 numbers he needs, and bam, I get the 3 things I want. I don't have to waste my time to get mitigators.
Right.
Mhm.
And you're doing just that. You're taking away other actions you could do just to get things to help you later on.
Because you rolled bad.
Right.
And I know it's a dice game, but that's not really an excuse because he also did Oracles of Delphi, which is dice rolling, but it's simply amazing.
Mhm.
Like you said, top 10 game right there for me.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like I'm wanting to play this again, but I'm not sure it's actually going to get better because I don't like the rondelle. And it's weird because I'm not saying the game is bad either,
Mhm.
because I did legitimately, I didn't hate it. It's just, I feel like for me, the rondelle thing was a little too big and I just couldn't, I feel like I can't do everything I want in Agricola, but for good reasons. And I felt like I couldn't do everything I want in this game just because. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't know, but there is an expansion
Yes.
coming out. So let's see what that adds. We'll add that Queenie.
And that's is it a Kickstarter or?
I don't even know if they announced it. I think it's just announced. I don't know
Okay.
release date or anything like that. That could end up being cool.
Mm-hmm.
But
Which I don't know if you guys think it's kind of long in the tooth. Expansion might not help out, but
I mean, that's what I'm saying though, is the game was long, but I'm not complaining about the length because I always felt like it was my turn.
No, yeah. That's what I'm
So-
saying. It didn't feel like it dragged.
Yeah, I like that part of it a lot because, bam, I move my guy. Bam, I move my guy. Maybe the first player who goes it takes a second because everybody rolls their dice right then. And then the first player is like, oh, I got to make a decision. And I didn't roll the number that I really wanted to move first. So now I have to think. But while they're thinking, I've already pretty much planned out my whole turn before it's me. So that is kind of neat. Could you, and you can land on other players' spots, right?
Yes.
It almost would have been neat if like you get pushed one space ahead when you land on them. You can't be on the same spot or something, except for the castles. Like some little interesting interactions so you can kind of hop in front of people and take like that one spot that I don't know if you'd ever do that to block people, but I mean, so my point is if there's no interaction on the spaces between the other players, why is it so big? It's almost like you're moving on your own track.
Well, yeah,
except for Merlin.
Agree on that. It's almost a solitary game in that retrospect. There's not a lot that you're influencing from the other people. There's only a couple of things that might matter where they're at. There's a flag that lets you take an action where someone else is at. And then besides like trading out Excalibur, there's not too much that other players are going to distract you from your strategy.
Yeah.
And then maybe moving Merlin.
Well, I guess they could take your people. Is that what you said?
People around.
Shoving your people around.
We can't shove
you
other
replace
people around.
spots.
Yeah, if you bring out your architect or whatever he's called, the builder.
Yeah, your henchman.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's minor though.
That is. What did you think about the flags? Like, I kind of felt like that maybe should have a rule about not getting two of the same flag at the beginning of the game and during.
Oh, you're talking about
scoring.
The traders.
The traders.
The traders. Yes. Sorry. I mean, they're in the shape of flags, right? What are they in the shape of? I don't remember.
They go on top of your wall, but they kind of interlock in there. But
they kind of look like a banner.
They look like a banner.
Yeah.
They're in the shape of a banner, I guess.
But I mean, it's weird because I'm like, give me three of the same.
Right? Yeah.
Because then you can use that one ability and just kill them all.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the whole reason to have it, because every round you are getting rid of all the traders that you have left over. You're getting 3 more. So that's the use of that one banner, is to get rid of a stack. So if you got a stack of 2.
No, that's cool. I like that ability. What I'm saying is, if I get 3 different ones and I don't have any of those shields and you happen to pull 3 of one thing,
right, which is
your
not going to be
life
typical,
is easier.
But yes,
but it is way more typical to pull 2 of one thing, and that's still really powerful. Like, that's still a really good position to be in, because you're like, I'd rather have 2 of one thing.
Yeah, unless you don't have that specific flag, so you have to go on that turn, hopefully be able to get that flag somehow,
the special ability or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't really find it that hard to get rid of those. No, that's what I'm saying. And I still did pretty decent, I think. Or did I come in last? I don't remember now.
You didn't come in last.
Oh, yeah. But I think I came in second. So I did pretty decent.
You were like just a few points behind Eric.
Yeah, I think so. Well, anyway, any final thoughts on this?
No, I think I liked it a little bit more than you guys, but I do see some faults into it. Yeah.
That's fair. It sounds like I'm being more negative than I'm actually being. I didn't hate the game, for sure. And I am willing to play it a couple more times, especially with adding like that Queenie and possibly adding the expansion to see what it adds, or at least seeing what it adds and then going from there. But
right. And I mean, I didn't hate the game. I think I just built it up in my mind.
That's fair.
Hearing the rules and
going into it with more expectation.
Yes. And just thought it was going to be better. It's not a bad game. It's fine.
It's okay game.
It's an okay game.
That's fair. Well, cool. That is Merlin.